Today, at 6:30 a.m. local time in Iceland, a major earthquake swarm began north of the town of Grindavík as a volume of magma began propagating via an underlying dike. Then, only a little over 3 hours later, a new volcanic eruption began just 1,200 meters or 3,937 feet away from the town's edge. Despite today being April Fool's Day, today's news piece is no joke, merely representing bad timing by nature, which creates the potential for miscommunication. Evacuations were made at the Blue Lagoon, Grindavík, and the Svartsengi geothermal power plant, and as this occurred a fissure began expanding in length, albeit primarily to the southwest. With the eruption beginning so close to the town, there was a legitimate fear that just lava passes berm like in January of 2024 that part of the dike and thus eruptive fissures could bypass the protected walls, sending lava into Grindavík proper with essentially no way to stop it. And soon, the erupting fissure traveled through the protective 10-meter-high walls surrounding the town and then traveled another 370 meters to the southwest. This was a cause for concern, especially if the relevant fissure continued to grow. However, despite more magma having pooled in the underlying magma chamber than any other point right before the Reykjanes volcano's last 7 eruptions since 2023, the current eruption seemingly erupted initially at a rate lower than all 7 prior eruptions. Since the decent way to get an indication of how long these eruptions will last for is based on the initial peak rate magma erupts at, it should not come as a surprise that the first eruption of Reykjanes volcano in 2025 began to rapidly wane in intensity. Fissures constricted and became activity declines inactive, some small growing spatter cones gently erupted fresh molten rock, and then at around 1:30 p.m. local time, the erupting seemingly ended. While the eruption has not been officially declared as over yet by the local authorities, as a hypothetical let's just assume that it is over right now. This was the Reykjanes volcano's shortest and least voluminous eruption on record, only covering 0.34 square kilometers with 1.2 million cubic meters of molten rock across little under 5 hours' time. No structures were damaged or destroyed, and the town of Grindavík is safe from advancing lava flows for now. And this is despite the fact advancing lava flows got absurdly close to a major greenhouse. For some quick fun, you can see a professional volcanologist taking a lava sample while wearing PPE equipment including a metallic volcano suit and a gas mask to filter out potentially lethal levels of carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, sulfur dioxide, and other toxic volcanic gases. This should be fairly obvious, but please do not attempt this unless you are instructed to do so as a volcanologist by the relevant authorities. While we are now awaiting analysis of this rock sample, I expect it to reveal 2 things. 1. A similar composition range to the prior 7 eruptions, representing basaltic lava. 2. And I think this is one reason why the eruption took so long to occur and was then absurdly brief, I interpret that the lava which erupted was unusually gas and volatile poor. If this were the case, it would explain why no explosive activity occurred that produced minor ash emissions, and why the volcano took so much longer to erupt than expected. While I could speculate that this low gas state is indicative of only similar small eruptions occurring at a similar rate at the Reykjanes volcano during the midterm future, such an idea will probably end up being incorrect. One last thing to note is that a swarm of strong earthquakes is currently progressing further and further to the northeast, which has involved 2 upper magnitude 4 and 1 magnitude 5.2 earthquake, and this almost certainly is being triggered by underground magma movement. This dike of molten rock has now progressed further northeast than at any other point since the Reykjanes volcano reactivated in 2023. Technically, the aforementioned magma could end up erupting at any point above where the underlying dike is expanding, so we may soon end up with another episode of lava effusion in a new location. Stay tuned for more updates.